Hey guys, my name's Dale, this is ThinkFact, and today I'm going to answer some of your guys' questions. But first off, I want to thank you guys so much for 20,000 subscribers. That is unbelievable. I was just at 10,000 subscribers like 2 months ago. Oh my goodness. Today is an exact year since I uploaded my first video on YouTube on this channel. And it's been an amazing journey since. August 1st is the actual first year anniversary of my channel. But the channel doesn't mean much unless you have the content, so I felt today was more of a special day to upload a video, and it gave me more time to lollygag, you know. Even though it's really hard for educational channels to provide a lot of content, especially being that I'm a one-man show, but like, I know vlog channels and a lot of video game channels that can produce a lot of content. But it's hard due to the sheer complexity of what goes into a video like this. The research, all of the fancy editing, a lot of stuff. And the fact that you guys still stick around, even when I do need to take breaks, it's really, I don't have words to describe how awesome that is. It just means so much to me, so thank you. So with all that said, here is to an awesome year. Thank you guys once again. I sound like a broken record, but I don't have words to describe how just humbled I am and how amazing this is. And here is to an even better year. So thank you again. Now to the questions you guys ask. Probably what is the most frequent question I'm asked in the comments is how old I am. I am actually 19 years old, and my birthday is December 16th, the same day as Beethoven, so you know, yeah, awesome. And that's how old I am, so remember it, and there you go. In terms of the questions that I said you guys could ask me in the last video, let's get started. So Max Beneville asks, what inspired you to create a channel that shares facts and knowledge? Also, how long does it usually take you to create each video? Well, I have a very photographic memory. I tend to remember and be able to recall just about everything I read that I find intriguing. And I have really good short-term memory in terms of visually seeing stuff, which has made it really awesome to do some last-minute studying for tests. But basically, when I read something, I can visually remember, like, seeing where I read that fact, and I remember it for whatever reason. I just can't explain it much more than that. I feel like the Rain Man. But I've just been like that my whole life. And when I was in high school and teachers would ask random stuff, or talk about random stuff, I could just bring up random relevant information that's just obscure and fun to talk about. People would listen, and they'd always ask me, how do you know that? And the best thing I could always say was, I just remembered it. I read it once and I never forgot. And that's really what pushed me to want to make an educational video, since I love talking about what I know. And I like being able to invoke thought into people, and that's really kind of an awesome combination when you know like a lot of different things. So I try to learn things that a lot of people don't know, so that way it's more fun to talk to them about stuff. And that really is what pushed me to create this channel. And that's the biggest factor, I'd have to say. In terms of how long it takes to create each video, it takes about 3 days. In terms of the amount of specific hours, it's probably about 20 to 30 hours for a 7 to 8 minute video. Longer videos take longer, obviously, and shorter videos can take a short amount of time. If I'm really booking it, I can actually get a video done in 1 day without sleep. So yes, that's about how long it takes me to get a video done. But I'm always thinking about topics, and I can typically never agree with myself on what I want to make my next video about. So I typically find myself rushing near the end to be able to actually focus on a certain topic. Dr. Wall Russian asks, what is your favorite food? My favorite food is mashed potatoes, shredded cheddar cheese, and corn kernels, all mixed up together with a bit of seasoning salt, and then you scoop it and put it into leaves of lettuce, fold it over, and eat it like that. I love it. It's so good. I also invented it myself, so hey, it's delicious. Conjecture asks, what is the most interesting fact you've ever learned? It's pretty hard to say. I'm always trying to learn new stuff, and I kind of find myself amazed about all the new things that I always learn. Probably the most recent fact that's the most interesting to me was the fact that I learned that potatoes are carnivorous plants. They're considered carnivorous plants. That kind of blew my mind. They don't actually eat bugs, but they get them caught in them somehow, and then they let them fall to the ground, and they let them die and turn into fertilizer. So that's the most interesting thing so far, especially being that potatoes are so darn delectable. Moshais asks, what are your goals with ThinkFact? Any plans to do any collaborations coming up? I'd have to say the goal with ThinkFact is basically to invoke thought and to tell facts on the obscure things that a lot of people don't really know a lot about. That's what I've always tried to do, and I love doing that. I try to separate myself from other channels like Veritasium, Vsauce, Smarter Every Day, who use a lot more science, hold on a minute, to express ideas and topics and interesting things. And by that, obviously I incorporate science, but they use a lot of numbers and figures and stuff, where I try to use a lot more of history, culture, understandings, philosophy. And that's kind of the way I want to take my channel to be different. I don't want to be considered a science channel. I want to be considered like a history, cultural channel that like ventures into philosophical topics using facts about stuff we already understand and constructs that we have today, and be able to apply them to things that are kind of fuzzy. That's what I really want to do with this channel. And I just like being able to apply that type of stuff to a lot of topics that people don't really know a lot about, or to take a different approach at topics that have a lot of stuff known about them. So that's basically where I'm at right now. I know some people said I've had information similar to other YouTubers. I'm like, yeah, I probably do. There's only so many different things you can cover, but I try to take a different approach at how I cover them. And that's really the best way I can put that, I guess. In terms of upcoming collaborations, it all depends on how everybody's schedule works out. But I do plan on doing some collaborations with people on their channels, hopefully. I've got one I'm already talking about. And then I do plan on having Plethrones help me with a video on my channel. Being that Plethrones does awesome animations and stuff, so hopefully that works out. Chloe Penguins asks, what was/is your favorite school subject? Hands down, history. I absolutely loved history. I liked biology a lot too. It's probably my favorite of all the sciences. But history, hands down, is my favorite subject. And I love collecting history books too. So that's probably that's a hobby of mine that contributes to my love for history. So, yeah, that's that. Otaku Girl asks, what's your favorite word and why? My favorite word is context, hands down. Didn't even have to think about that. And that's because I feel if a lot more people had context, there would be a lot less stupidity and a lot less meaningless arguments that happen. Context is so important. I said in my first video that context is the key to knowing the truth, and I stand right to that. Context, because context is key to knowing the truth. And that's super important, and that context is my favorite word. ShipTech2K9 asks, have you ever played Kerbal Space Program? I actually haven't. I do have a Steam account, and I have some games that I do play quite frequently, such as Civilization 5 and Europa 4. More so Europa 4, because I've just recently got that, and it's awesome. But I have a Mac computer, so I'm a bit limited on the games I can play. I have a Mac Mini, actually. It's nice, but it's not Macs. There's not a lot of games on Macs. I do play a lot of Minecraft. I love Minecraft, actually. I build a lot of fancy stuff on it with my friends. And I do play a lot of RPGs sometimes. I loved MMORPGs. I haven't been doing too much of that often because I got a Mac now. I do have a 2DS, actually it's right here. I play that quite a bit. I like a lot of Nintendo games for nostalgia purposes, and I enjoy that. I bought that because it was cheaper than the 3DS. I don't like 3D, so it's a gimmick, I think. Elliot Rice asks, what areas of knowledge do you find the most interesting, and what areas would you like to learn more about? Well, I would have to say I find history the most interesting thing, but if I had a choice to learn more about specific fields, it would have to be like culture, geography, entomology, which is like the study of language and where it's come from and its extent and all these other things, especially in English. I also like learning about biology. That's my favorite of all the sciences, and that's typically the science. If I'm going to talk about science, I like to use is biology. Mostly because all of these kind of, I also like psychology, by the way, but most of these all kind of work with like the human element per se. Like I personally find humans to be the most fascinating thing in the universe, and I absolutely love learning about all the different people, all the different cultures, and that's truly, I think, the most amazing thing about being alive, especially in an era that has access to all this different information. And I guess that's the best, that's the field I'd love to learn more about, is the thing I love the most, and that's people. That's learning about people. Captain Rod asks, who is your favorite science-related YouTube channel? Minute Earth, I'd actually have to say, because I love how simple he gets his videos, and they're catchy. I bet you he gets people to watch the whole video. But he gets them short, to the point, and catchy. And he does it such a simple way, and I think that's what I want to try to do. I want to try to get simple, short, easy. You don't need to use a lot of complex language. You just need to be able to get an idea across properly. And that's what I try. That's why I kind of avoid numbers. I like being able to I like using just to-the-point information that I know even the weakest link can comprehend to a good extent. And that's why I really like his channel, because I believe he does a great job at doing that. SAS, which I want to pronounce as SAS, asks, would you ever be interested in doing a meetup or going to a VidCon-like event? I would be wildly intellectual. Yes, it would. I would love to do that. I think that'd be amazing. Granted, if I could afford it, I don't know how that works, but I would love to be able to meet, actually, as many of you guys as possible, and I think that'd be a great chance to meet a lot of other people, too. If my channel gets more successful, I probably may be invited, and I would go in a heartbeat if I could. I would love to do something like that. Herb Films, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, asks, if you could have one cultural icon from any time period in history be your personal teacher, who would it be? After a bit of thinking, I'd probably say Ken Jennings, who is probably a pretty lame choice, but he is the guy who has had, I think, the most consecutive wins in Jeopardy at 74. I think, yeah, he's won about well over $3 million. He knows a lot, and I would definitely say he'd be my first choice of someone to teach me about anything, especially if it was a teacher who had to teach me, one guy who had to teach me everything. So I feel like he's probably one of the most well-rounded people in terms of knowing a lot of things available. Herb Films also asks, what was your favorite lesson in history class? I'd have to say I really enjoyed learning about Native Americans. I've always loved Native American culture. It's just something about it I've always been found fascinating, mysterious. And I'd have to say, of all the history I've learned, that is probably number one. There's some very close contenders. I love learning about Byzantine history a lot. But in terms of, if I had to pick one right now, number one, it'd probably be learning about Native Americans and including the Inca and stuff like that. I've always loved that. ZipperTrain85 asks, how did you get interested in learning and teaching others? Well, like I said in my earlier comment, I can retain a lot of information pretty well. So being able to tell people stuff that they potentially don't know is the best part. It's just like almost like a mini rush for me. So I kind of love doing that, and that's really what pushed me into making YouTube videos like this. He also asks, which fact did you learn from making this series that surprised you the most? Probably the most interesting fact out of all the videos I made that I learned was that there actually was more than one internet. I kind of just did all the research for that video prior to actually knowing the answer. So that was a lot of fun to learn about, and I was very surprised to learn that there was more than one, and I thought that was pretty awesome. So that, I guess that would be the most surprising thing. And he also asked, what was the funnest video for me to research? Probably the one about what is and isn't a berry. I laughed so hard researching that. And putting the video together. It was so funny because every time I was like, oh my goodness, this is a berry too. Oh my, this is a berry too. Bananas are berry, coffee berries, what? Cucumbers. So it went on and on and on. I just was laughing. So I couldn't even believe it. So that was probably the funniest and funnest video I produced. And he asks, do you try to tell others about these things in real life? In terms of these facts, all the time. I think I drive my best friends crazy with all the random knowledge I've given them. I'm pretty much a walking encyclopedia to them, probably. But they've taught me a lot of fun things, too, so my friends are pretty informed about a lot of different things, so it's nice. Jackson2000 asks, is this your first YouTube channel? Nope. My first YouTube channel I ever made was back in the early part of 2008, and I called it King of Talk. And I've owned about 4 channels since, including this one. All doing different things. King of Talk, and I had another channel after that. King of Talk's now closed, but I had another channel after that, which is still open. And I did video game related stuff, where I did voiceovers on Pokemon videos, believe it or not. And I was actually, I guess you could say, a pioneer in that, because a lot of people didn't like people talking over Pokemon videos and stuff back then. I mean, it was a lot of drama. It's really weird now I think about it today. I ended up getting out of that, and I, for sad reasons. And then I made another channel trying to do, like, vlogs and skits and stuff that were funny, and it didn't really take off anywhere. So I stopped YouTube for about probably a half a year or so, maybe a little longer. And I just randomly got the idea one time. I mean, I was literally not on YouTube pretty much at all. But I randomly got the idea that I wanted to make a channel that was just about talking about, like, fun facts and stuff. And that's kind of how this came about. And that's why originally it was called The Factoid, and because it was all about facts. And then I just kind of wanted to change that, because Factoid, the whole problem with that name. But I do more than that, and I didn't want to be limited to just facts, but I also want to talk about ideas and stuff, so that's kind of where it went with that. And he also asks, why did you and Plethrones stop making videos? It was pretty much because when I did voiceovers, my voice, I tried to use a lot of diction, I tried to sound really professional stuff. It didn't sound like me, and I think it kind of weirded out his audience. They didn't really care for it too much. So we took a break and stopped, and he got other people on his channel, and I wasn't even upset at all. It was just whatever, it's pick and choose. Sometimes people like some people, sometimes people don't. But, yeah, it is what it is. I do plan on doing more stuff with them down the road, but I'm not too worried about it. It just happened. Everything Cool Escape ETC asks, where do you get your information from? Pretty much everywhere. I use a lot of Reddit, and I find a lot of interesting things there, which lead me to other things, which lead me to other things. Sometimes I just get a random idea, and I just search everywhere I can find stuff. I use YouTube as a resource sometimes to look up random stuff. I try not to use Wikipedia at all, but I source it in my stuff to give people, if they're looking in my sources and they get to a website and they really don't understand it, sometimes it's a Wikipedia article that has similar information, but it's broken down a bit easier. And I feel like that's a good chance for people to read about different things they want to. But I really don't use Wikipedia that much. But in terms of sites, I don't know, I just everywhere. I can't pinpoint anything really. And lastly asks, what video editing software do you use? I use Final Cut Pro 10. It's a Mac only program, so but you could probably get a lot of the same effects done on Sony Vegas and Adobe. The Adobe Premiere Elements. I think it's just Elements, or yeah. And that is about it for questions. If you guys ever have any more questions, you feel free to ask me, and another video I'll post probably far down the road. I don't plan on making one of these videos every time I reach 10,000 subscribers. Another 10,000, I mean. I will probably make another one when I reach 50,000, but that will be a ways away, most likely, if that ever happens. So I will let you guys know when I want more questions, if you guys want to ask me more things that I've not answered in this video. And other than that, that's about it. So I will end the video with saying that I want to apologize. I'm having a harder time getting back to everybody in terms of comments. It takes a lot of time. I can invest about 3 hours into trying to reply to everybody and not even get halfway done. It's sad for me because I can't get back to everybody, but also awesome because I realize how many people are watching my videos, and it's overwhelming and flattering, I guess, at the same time. It's amazing. But in terms of, sometimes a lot of my comments nobody really replies back to, so I think I should try to set up a system where people who want me to reply back to them, like, introduce, like, just say, like, Dear Dale or Dear Think Factor. Just do something, kind of, like, specify that you're trying to make note that you're trying to communicate with me, so you want to reply back. That would save me a lot of time, and it would increase your chances of getting me to reply back to you, as of now. at the current size my channel is. So other than that, that's what I wanted to say. In the future, I do plan on going to college far away from here, so my background will be changing. Maybe I'll be able to do a completely unique setup. Maybe I can travel and go walk around the campus and do other things. So that will be a change probably by next month in September. And I will, for next week, have a new video out on Tuesday, and then I will have a new video the week after on 10 facts that almost everybody missed. If you guys think you can have any better names for that mini-series, go ahead and let me know. If you think it's good the way it is, then perfect. This video has definitely gone on long enough, and I think I'll leave it here. So thank you guys very much for watching. I appreciate all the support, and hopefully this coming year is even better. So yep, it's 5 in the morning. So yeah, this is one of these videos I'm gonna be pushing to get done. So yep, this is Dale. You're watching Think Fact, and remember, never stop learning. So thank you very much, and have a good one.